Hey, if you're listening to this episode and benefiting from it, could you help me reach more like-minded listeners by rating it 5 stars? It only takes 2 seconds. Just pause this episode and click on the stars. Thank you. Welcome to the Life Affairs podcast. This is a place where we share life experiences and the many lessons learned by just living. Join me to immerse ourselves and take a closer look at the stories that shaped and defined us. Just remember, there's no judgment and a lot of understanding on today's episode of the Life Affairs podcast. My guest today speaks at a high pace, but his story is packed with so much information that I'm glad he speaks like this. So, join me. We will be talking about overcoming porn addiction, mental health and loneliness, building self-discipline, navigating addiction in adolescence, role of mentorship in recovery, setting and reaching goals, finding purpose, supporting others, and personal growth. Because my guest, Nick Drivas, who's 23 years old, began struggling with porn addiction at 12. We will talk about mental health challenges, including suicide, and explore his journey of emerging from darkness to overcoming addiction and bad habits. While the conversation starts heavy and shocking, it ultimately guides us toward healing and positive growth. Listeners' caution is required because of the nature of the mental health challenges included in this topic. Nick, can you take us, the listeners and myself, with you in your story on how your porn addiction has started?
When I was 12, that's where it all started. I was just unsure of myself. I was so lost. I didn't even know what I was doing when I even started watching the porn and all that, and just felt worthless the whole time, even while I was doing it. And how I came across it was from finding on YouTube a stripper. And I was like, this is satisfying. It was such a dopamine hit to the brain at such a young age. I feel a lot of that came from loneliness to even spark my interest of going online. It led me down the rabbit hole that didn't make me into any sort of man that I am today with the habits that I have compared to now. And just the person overall, I'm comfortably fine now. Just me, myself, and I. Like there is no, oh, I need the porn to make me feel something. I don't need the porn to not feel lonely or to escape my current reality of my problems.
What kind of person you were? Why were you lonely?
It was because there was nobody really around me. So I'm in my backyard today. This is like the house that I grew up in. And it was just me and my grandmother. And she was sick. God rest her soul. She passed away when I was around 12, 13 years old. When I would come home from school, I did the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. school. And then I didn't do any sports or anything until I got a little bit older. And that's where that porn addiction really started. So I was experimenting with the porn before she passed.
Were you living with your grandma alone?
Grandmother, and then also my dad and my uncle at the time as well. When my uncle and my dad, they went off to work, and me and her would just be home, but she would be sick in the bed. I'm full of energy, especially as a young kid. And then that's where that curiosity really sparked with the porn.
Why
Because
porn and not games?
No, not really. Video games. Junk food was a big one too for me, on top of the porn. Video games to a certain extent, but not like where I was playing it 8 to 12 hours every single day, but compounding with the porn while my grandmother was getting ready for her death at such a young age. It ruined me. That whole thing with her passing ruined me. I still kept watching porn as I got older. That was my life. And I grew up in a very negative environment in that household with who I was surrounding myself with and their mindsets and whatnot. So it only fed what I was doing with the porn as I got older. Friends, definitely. The people I would surround myself with, even to a certain extent, with the family that I had their own vices, their own addictions as well. For them, it wasn't really porn. It was more the drinking and the smoking. That's what got my grandmother on her deathbed in the first place. So literally to the extent where she would come into my room, I would see this at the age of 12, 13 years old. And I feel like this is why I even started running to porn too, seeing this. She had a tube in her throat because of smoking cigarettes for years and years, and then drinking other vices as well. She would come into my room. She couldn't even talk for the most part. You know, it would be very broken up, raspy, very hard. It would hurt her. So she had this big tube in her throat. She had a whiteboard, and she would come into my room and write her question to me on the whiteboard of what she needed from me. And I'm seeing this at 12, 13 years old, and I'm like, I feel like me just talking about this more, I'm like, this is a part of why I even started watching porn in the first place, because of what I was witnessing in this house at such a young age, you know?
That you had to go through this. Incredibly tough. In reality, there was no one taking care of you. And you had to be there in the house and look after your grandma.
Yeah, definitely. Like taking care of her. And me at the time, I was 12, 13 years old. I don't know what to do. And then my dad, he was just like, yeah, just do your own thing, Nick. You don't got to do anything. Just trying to take the pressure off of me, I guess, where he comes from, like his mindset and stuff. And it's to a certain extent, I just didn't know what to do. I knew what was going on. I had enough self-awareness at the time, but I didn't have the full package of, oh man, she's going to be gone soon. That wasn't really clicking, especially at that age. It was a lot to comprehend, and my brain was still developing to the extent where it's just like, oh, she's going to pass soon. There's not much time left. That was a big thing for me that I realized much later on, because I remember even my uncle that used to live with us, he was like, hug your grandmother. And at times there's a part of me where it's just like, nah, she'll be fine. Like, you know, she'll be here for a while. And then he would say, yeah, hug your grandmother. She's not always going to be here, you know? And then I was like, yeah, again, like, yeah, she'll be fine. And then one day she was gone. That's something that I live with, because there were times I wouldn't go and hug her and say, I love you. I didn't have the full understanding of what was going on with her. And also just the stuff I was starting to develop at such a young age as well.
I want to talk about how you spend your time. So your grandma passed away, and your dad, your uncle are at work. You come back from school, you're alone. You have a free pass to do whatever you want.
Yep. So that was me. And then that free pass of time, I was so unaware of what I was developing watching all this porn. At first, it was the stuff on YouTube. If it was like a stripper, I remember there was also JOI or something, like jerk off instruction. And I remember seeing that like weird. This was on YouTube. And I'm like, I don't know if they took this down. They probably should, because that's not good if that's on YouTube. I'm talking like 2012, 2013. I don't know if it's still there. But I developed that, like a woman instructing me of what to do when it came to me stroking, you know, down below. That messed me up for so long because, again, I didn't have anybody. Everybody was at work or doing their own thing. And this was after my grandmother passed. And then from that JOI stuff, it actually started to lead into porn. So it just started to get more rapid. So now I'm like 14, 15, and now I'm watching it like around 2-3 times on repeat every single day. I have a schedule of when I'm going to do it in the bathroom and stuff like that. It was destroying me from the inside out.
A quick note to clarify that in the next section, Nick is talking about his sport, pursuing sports, and his dream in basketball. I got mixed up a little bit and I thought he's still talking about porn, but in this small section, he's only talking about basketball. I thought I'd let you know, maybe you will get mixed up too, and this will ruin your experience in listening to Nick's story. Hey, If you're listening to this episode and benefiting from it, could you help me reach more like-minded listeners by rating it 5 stars? It only takes 2 seconds. Just pause this episode and click on the stars. Thank you.
And at the time, now I'm starting to play sports and I'm trying to pursue just basketball. I'm like, I'm going to a league. I'm going to NBA. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I'm playing like 7 hours a day in the street. So I'm doing all the basketball drills you can imagine, stuff with the tennis ball, like reaction skills, because it's, like basketball is very hand focused, shooting, had all the equipment, went to the top coaches. Like he coached like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, all the guys in the league. It's like 20, 30 minutes away. I would go there a couple of times a week. I would just start to develop a stronger habit. I was also doing it at a very young age, at 14, 15 years old, in my driveway, in the street. Everyone in my neighborhood would be like, you're out here all day. Like, what is your name? How are you doing this? At this point, I'm starting to chase a goal. I'm doing everything possible. I'm doing all the habits, all the drills, everything. And I keep coming up short when it's time for tryouts for the school team. And always, every single year, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, I tried out till junior year. I always came up short to the last cut to actually make the team. And I realized after so many years, it was because of the porn, because I had the work ethic. I developed that at such a young age, practicing in the street. My mindset was already getting so strong, but on the internal, from the porn that I was watching, I didn't feel like the way people were telling me, or the confidence, even to a certain extent, the mindset to say, yeah, I'm it. People were telling me, dude, you got mad heart for this. I see you doing this. You're out here. Like, me from the porn, it was messing me up so bad. I didn't feel any sort of belief in myself. So what I've learned over the years, it's a combination of both. It's heat plus pressure. So the heat is the belief in what you're actually trying to pursue. And this goes for any goal or vision that you have for yourself. It's having the belief or your heat in whatever, having that confidence on your internal state, because your internal state affects your external state. So your internal state has to be 100% right. You have to be 100% aligned to have that belief, to have that confidence, that conviction, to get up every single day, keep doing what you got to do, and pursue your vision. Now, the next thing is the pressure, the work ethic. So the discipline to actually put the physical work in every single day. For me at the time, I had the pressure to an extreme, practicing drills every single day, but I didn't have the heat of what I was actually pursuing in the first place. Even though I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an NBA player, I wouldn't show that to other people. I would keep that to myself. And that's what porn does. It keeps you isolated. It makes you feel just, yeah, no, I don't really believe in myself. Like, my self-conviction was just flawed. It was terrible. Like, if I were to come on a podcast and I was watching so much porn, I wouldn't even want to show up today. I would have probably not even been here. It would have been like, yeah, my name is Nick. Hi, how you doing? Not confident in myself, talking from my throat, not my diaphragm, having some abrasiveness behind each word. It's very like, with me, how I can see it all now is because I've gone through it. I'm just like, yeah, that person, especially, nah, he's not that confident in himself. I'm like, I'll go help him, with people like that. And I'm like, yeah, he probably watches porn because like the way that he is.
Is it with porn that makes the person watching it feel so low self-esteem and no confidence? Is it because everything looks so perfect in there? Everyone is strong and looking good. I mean, of course, I know what porn is. It all looks fake, but for someone your age, you think this is reality? Can you explain this to me?
Yeah, so I feel it's a couple of things. It's definitely like how you said, that perfect image, or even to a certain extent, like a perfect lifestyle, like what you want to be doing with a chick. When it's exploited like that, and you could just do it from now, like on your phone, type on the internet, a porn site, and start watching, that just releases so much serotonin, dopamine, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm hooked, man. It's the same thing as doing any sort of drugs. It gets you like this. There's been so many times where I'm just like, oh yeah, when I was younger, oh yeah, I need that. God damn, like it's only been a couple of hours. I was going insane in my room, panic attacks from withdrawals, and that's what happens. And it gives you just not a correct way when it comes to women, especially yourself, because of how you feel afterwards and the regret. Because then once you're done looking at the phone, you look up and you see pools of semen all over your toilet seat and all over your hand. And it's just like, oh man, what did I just do? Like, there's no chick in front of me. It's a toilet seat. And this feels so wrong. Like, this is not me. This is not typical behavior as a human, very animalistic style behavior that comes from the porn. But then when you step outside, you feel isolated and cut off from the world. Like, there's even, to go a bit deeper, I've had depersonalization, which is basic, and derealization, whereas you don't feel like, let's just say this Gatorade bottle, it doesn't feel real or anything. It feels very fuzzy. Even if I were to step outside and look at these trees behind me, they wouldn't feel real. I would look at it and it would just feel fuzzy. So that's what happens with me specifically when I'm watching porn. I think it's really just like a fake reality. The regret you feel afterwards, because regret is your guideline. If it's telling you, damn, I shouldn't be doing this, this feels wrong, that's your consciousness guiding you. And your consciousness is your authentic voice of God that will always follow you along the path to hear from inside to say, that's not what you should be doing. You should be pursuing your purpose. So that's where I was like, whoa, why am I feeling, again, why does that feel fuzzy? That's not good. That's a big warning sign. I am just cut off from life. I'm cut off from even stepping outside. And there were so many days where I just didn't come outside, where I would just go grab junk food, eat a whole bunch of Chex Mix, Cheez-Its, every processed food in the books, and just watch Netflix. And then I started getting fat from that. It makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel suicidal, which was another thing for me too.
We will come back to this if you're comfortable speaking about it.
I'll give it all.
The way you describe the high and then you're coming down and feeling shit and regretting. It's just so real. And I had no clue that it's so bad.
It's the worst. Like, again, people say, oh, porn isn't a drug or anything. Like, yeah, but it's not like drinking. I'm like, or whatever, like any sort of drug, because you don't do it the way that I was doing it. Your problem is more of a drinking scenario. People don't understand it to a certain extent.
It's a bigger problem that is touching a lot of people, but no one talks about it. A lot of couples are living without having sex because one of the couples is watching porn, maybe not addicted to porn, but watching porn, getting whatever they want from there. And then the intimate relationship in the partnership is disappearing.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I keep it so real, is I'm going to talk about the stuff that not everybody else is talking about. Like any vice, you're escaping from your current reality, in short. That's all you're doing. So anything that's a quick hit, that's what you're doing. That's what I was doing for years. All that boredom, that free time, it was just leading to desires, me going online, searching for that, and my curiosity, watching porn. For somebody, that happens a lot, where they get bored, they got nothing to do, they got all this free time, they start hanging around the wrong people, they want to go smoke weed, they want to start smoking cigarettes, they want to start drinking, feel accepted by others. Their self-esteem is shot, so they'll make it worse by going and drinking and all that stuff. It made me so messed up. When it came especially to porn, in certain friend groups, I would lash out at people, get angry. I used to get in fist fights with people over this. Even when I was very young, very violent too, to a certain extent. Just nasty toxicity within myself and the people I treated, especially my closest ones, my loved ones. There was also, with what you said, going back to couples and stuff, I've had that. I've been there too. I remember when I was in high school, it was senior year, and I tried doing it with my chick a couple of times, and I couldn't get it up. And I was, why is this happening? I'm like, I'm attracted to you. We've been kissing for half an hour. What is going on? And then I just couldn't get it up. And I'm just like, why is this? At this time, I'm still watching porn aggressively. I remember the second time we tried, I started just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I am so sorry. I felt so ashamed in that moment. I felt so embarrassed with who Nick Drivas was. There's times in your life where you get hit with something so hard and you feel it physically, you feel it emotionally. That's what I was feeling at that one moment when I was just bawling my eyes out to her and saying, I am so sorry that I can't do this with you. I don't know if it's me, if it's you. She was even like, are you gay? Why you can't get it up? And I'm like, no, it is not that at all. I don't know what it is, you know?
You knew, but you couldn't tell her.
I know I'm straight, but with the porn getting in the way of everything, that's what was happening with her lashing out constantly in fights. And then on top of that, not being able to perform with her. I have that perfectionist gene where I need everything to be perfect, performance anxiety like crazy. It would go rapid, especially when I would try to have sex with the chick. It just messed everything up all the way back then. Now it's so easy. It's because of the habits. It's, again, because you have that fake reality. And because you're watching on repeat, you think that's what sex is. No. That's not what it is. Because when you're with a real woman, it's a whole different experience, you know?
Was this your wake-up call?
No. So I keep going. I'm like, at this point, so this is like end of high school. So at this point, I'm done with basketball. I say, I'm going to go do track. I did track. I actually got a scholarship for it, but it just didn't feel right. I was like, because again, I had such that strong work ethic. Colleges were saying like, God damn, this dude's like crazy. And I was just like, nah, this ain't it. So I start posting videos online. I start doing YouTube. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I want to be the next Logan Paul. This is like 18, 19 years old. Again, same thing. Just like with the basketball. Got a strong work ethic. I'm posting every single day, at least one video a day. Even if it was just something on the phone from my room, I didn't care. And, you know, I'm dropping like motivation, wisdom stuff. And I'm like, you know, I'm like 18. I'm just talking about like, you need to grind, bro. Like, you got to get up. I feel like all the way back then, it was source telling me what to say to people. Like, the purpose was there, but I still had the vices in the way when it came to the porn. So I was working a job. I tried doing college for a semester. I said, I'm out. I don't want to do this. And I remember driving every single day to the college, and I had that dark cloud over my head. So this is where a lot of the suicidal thoughts started to occur with me at this point, especially with the porn development getting stronger with myself. And it was just that dark cloud was only getting bigger every single day. And I would take the same route every single day to school, and I would be like, fuck this. I can't do this, man. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in school. I don't want to do the content anymore. I don't want to do anything. If anything, I just want to bury my head 6 feet under at this point. So those are starting to occur. And what is this? Because I never really went through depression at this point. It's getting really nasty. And I'm losing friends left and right. I quit my job after 6 months. I cursed the store manager out because no one did their job. I was the one that was just like on it. I remember just walking out mid-shift. I never told anybody. I did that at both of my jobs that I had. There's a part of me that was like, damn, you could have done it in a much more proactive way instead of being so reactive. But I feel that was because of the porn. The porn was so in my way with every little thing that I did. I called her a fat bitch, dyke type of thing. I don't want to associate you with
very disrespectful.
Yeah, very disrespectful at 19. And I just walked out, never came back, never even told him like 2-week notice. I never did that at any job. But then after that, I'm just like, okay, well, I am now screwed. I remember my parents wondering like, oh, you're not going to work today? I didn't even tell them. And I would hide in, I had this old car, a hoopty car, and I would just drive it around and shoot basketball all day at this point. I was so lost in my life. I was hiding from everybody in my car all day. And then I remember I was also shooting music videos on top of this at the time for like dirt cheap. And there was this studio in the neighborhood, and I would go hide there for the day. So I'm hiding at the studio all day, and I'm just shooting their stuff. and they say they're gonna pay me, they don't, and I'm all right, like, you're just using me. That was a big thing with me too. A lot of people took advantage of me because I didn't have a lot of self-esteem and confidence in myself because of the porn. So I would let people, all these artists, take advantage of me, say, yeah, I'll pay you, and then they never did, or, you know, very scammy, just bullshit going on. And then they kicked me out because I was staying there too much all day because I had nothing else to do. So it was only, porn was still going like crazy at this point.
I don't know, is it just my curiosity or is it a reasonable question? How come you didn't look for a job in the porn industry?
Oh, because I wasn't, the way that I am now, my confidence at this point, still shot. Also, I wasn't in shape the way that I am now. I remember I was like skinny fat. So, you know, like big stomach, but like super skinny arms. Everything was so misaligned and super foggy in my head where I just didn't know what I was going to do when I woke up. I remember waking up at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and just going through the day, going to the park and hiding from my parents and everybody. I cut off like a whole bunch of friends. I don't want to associate with you guys. I don't know. I'm going through a lot and I'm just like, I don't want to be around people. And this is because of the porn. And then on top of that, finding myself in what I want to do with my life. And on top of that too, just finding Nick in the sense of I have all this, like, down below, I have this heat in me. I know I'm going to do something so great in this life.
They kicked you out of the studio. You were hanging there too much.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
So I started doing TikTok because I was still shooting music videos. I had an in-person mentor / friend, and he was telling me the same thing. You have such a strong work ethic. Just your confidence is shot, dude. We used to travel all over New York City. I've been around the 5 boroughs, met a lot of artists, and it just led me to start doing TikTok. I'm doing TikTok. I start blowing up. I get like 700,000 followers. I blow up. The problem was it was built in organically. Like it was built where I was chasing the clout. So again, something else that was like how the porn was, it was like, oh yeah, we got to hit another like 10K followers today, Nick. You know, it starts going crazy. And because of the habit with porn, that's where that was stimulating from. And I started posting fitness content, just workouts here in the backyard. And I was posting 8-10 times a day. And I started blowing up. But the problem was is that I started making just this weird content that didn't even align with me. For example, it was like, click the plus to see the blue moon tonight. And I'm like, oh, you're just doing that for clout, Nick. You're just doing it for followers. So I built it inorganically, in short. This is like 2021. This is over like 6 to 12 months of just work on self, from the stuff from the music videos to transitioning to TikTok. And I'm like, finally, I found some purpose. So I go for like 200 days clean, plus like not touching porn, no vices, all by myself, a little bit from that past mentor. But in the middle of that, we went our separate ways. And then I was still doing my own thing. Now I'm making a little bit of cash from it because it's built in organically. So it's not like the full benefits from what you could do online. I go back to the porn. And now I got nobody. I'm in the trenches again. I had that mentor. He was the only dude at the time that was kind of on the same mindset with what we were pursuing. Now I'm around more like entrepreneurs. I'm not around a whole bunch of drug addicts and whatnot. I used to hang around them, shooting music videos in the past. I did that a couple of times as well with those vices. But at this point, I got nobody. And the money just starts going down. I remember tracking on Google Sheets every month. It was like 1,500. Wow, that's so much money at the time. And it just starts going down now. And my following starts going down. I'm running to the porn. What am I going to do? I'm just sitting in the bed watching TV. Same thing. Junk food, porn. It's going rampant once again. And God damn it, this is happening. Why is this happening? So I get to the root of it after a year. I'm finally getting back to it. I started doing personal training. Just with family. I remember in-person training because I had this built platform to a certain extent. I finally found some purpose. I had something that was kind of working in sense of like where I was clean for so long, you know, with a vision and a goal. I'm just getting cash from family members, really just trying to support and help out. So I got to shout out my family on that, especially on my mom's side. So I start doing that. I come across a mentor, like YouTuber, and he's teaching people how to do sales online, like coaching. So I started learning about sales, marketing, all this stuff. So this is like end of 2021, 2022 now. Go into it. Now I'm getting a little bit of progress. I made a couple of sales. I was like learning about all this is all new. Cool. Again, same thing. 3-4 months into it, it just starts going down. I'm like, this is not consistent. This sucks. I need to go get a job. I got my parents that I live with now because my dad got remarried, and then she's in my ear like every day, go get a job. This shit's not going to work. So I have all that adversity, all that pressure on top of me as well while I'm trying to build this shit. And I'm just like, God damn it. What is going on? Why does this keep happening? And I'm like, why is this happening for me? What is this teaching me? Now I'm getting suicidal to the extent July 27, 2022. So this is where we're at now. I'm down in the basement. It's round 2. And I'm looking at the pools of semen all over the toilet seat. And I'm just like, fuck this. I can't take this for another second. I don't want to do this. This has gotten me nowhere. We know this for years. For over 10 years, I've been a porn addict at this very moment, especially with what I just described to you. And I'm like, it is the same fucking cycles over and over again. I cannot take this. I feel like shit. I don't have the chick of my dreams. I don't have the lifestyle I want. I don't have any money coming in. I feel worthless. I don't want to be here. I want to be 6 feet under. Like, this is where it's so, like, in my face at this point. I was so foggy before and, you know, trying to attempt suicide, drowning myself in the bathtub multiple times, slitting my wrist to a certain extent with the buzzer I had, trying to hurt myself. When I would go to the doctors and they're like, have you tried to attempt suicide? And I would lie to the doctor, you know, lash out once again, all this stuff. And I'm at my breaking point.
Were you trying to make an end to your life, or were you trying to get to an extreme injury in you, hoping that your life will change?
No, it was trying to numb the pain of everything that I was going through. I was like, I keep trying and trying with every big vision I've had, and I just keep coming up short. What the fuck? What is going on? Why with everything? When it was with basketball, I never made the team. What the fuck? I didn't make the team, and I'm coming up short on everything else in my life? Like, anything I pursued, if it was the TikTok, YouTube, music videos, people in my life saying we were gonna do all these great things together, and then they back out last minute. I had that one mentor like, yeah, we're gonna kill it together, we'll be friends for life, all this stuff, then switch sides so quick. It just got to me over the years. Even certain mentors and coaches that I invested in, they would just go ghost. What is going on? I was so sick and tired of it. I was trying to numb the pain. I got my parents down my back. I got a shit box as a car still at this point. I'm over everything. So I had $3,000 left to my name at this point. I need to invest this money. That's how this is going to work. So I was looking at a coach at the time. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger at this moment. It's do or die. Consciousness is loud in my ear. You got to go to that coach. You got to get this done. Okay, I'm not going to question anything. When you listen to that voice, it will guide you. It will just, like, don't question it. Don't try to put logic into, just trust it. So I trusted in that moment. Wrote out a paragraph, sent it to him of what I'm going through, everything I'm at, what's happening. He's like, dude, I got you 100%. Here's the link, 3,000 one-on-one coaching. Perfect. Let's go. Lock it in immediately. Send the money over, and we start right out the gate. He sends me over the workout plan for the day. I'm not letting any goddamn person, thing, anything that comes my way stop me. So I'm overweight from all the junk food, the porn, just bad habits. My mindset is so weak. I start this non-negotiable daily process for myself that now I go and teach it to other people with my coaching and program as well.
There is a lot of pressure in what you're speaking. So help me understand where the motivation, where the change in behavior. Tell me, what was the method?
Because there's not enough pain. I don't know how. Like, as I'm saying this right now, I've just somehow always had massive pain come my way. And that's always been my thing to keep going.
Mm.
And I feel like that's the thing that could give you so much power in all this. And then once you overcome it, like that discipline, just one more day. That's why I kept saying to myself, especially at this point, like 3 months in, 1% better every single day. One disciplined action leads to the next. So I was saying all these quotes, and I just got around better people too as I started to get better. That's the main problem. If you're not around like the best of the best and the mindset and very rare people, you're going to be like everybody else. And that was me because of the person that I was. So I was getting a current reflection of the work that I was putting into myself. I was getting people that were trying to pursue something, they had a work ethic and all that stuff. And as I just continue to invest in myself, time, money, the whole nine, that is only getting me so much further at such a young age because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. I'm not hanging around just anybody. I go to the top gym here on Long Island. A lot of people, all these fitness influencers, all these coaches, they're just in some certain areas. I'm like, dude, he's got a wife and he's doing this with this chick in the gym. I'm like, would your 10.0 self or your best version of yourself really be flirting with another chick while you have a wife, bro? I'm like, that's not me. That's never been me. Would the man that Nick always needed be doing that with other women, or would he be loyal and solid to only one woman? I think that's the answer. So I'm like, X on that guy. Now my guy, been with him since Feb of last year. And I've been listening even a little bit before then. So coming on a year and a couple of months, that's my guy. And he just hasn't missed. And that's who I need to be, especially as I keep building myself. I have my main engine already. I have all the foundations. Now it's all about fine tuning.
Mm-hmm.
So the fine tuning process is when I'm going out and I see, okay, this person is kind of somebody that I kind of admire. Now he's got some flaws. I'm just not going to do what he's doing. If it's something online, right? That's what I was saying. I'm going to go so left field. I'm not trying to be like everybody else because then I'm going to end up like everybody else. I'm going to do it my way. And I know what works. I have a whole daily discipline checklist. No lying, no vices, no porn, no smoking, nicotine. The list goes on and on. It's a crazy checklist, but it's crazy for a reason.
Look at it every day. It's your reminder of your goal, what you're striving for. Checklist.
That's what I'm saying. I put so much intention behind it because it was all that I had. I didn't have anything. No job anymore. No really responsibilities to us. Yes, I had to pay for my car and the basics, of course, but I didn't have any distractions in my life. I didn't have a girl up my ass, toxic as fuck, in my ear all day or trying to party and all this stuff. I had so much focus and I just made it work. So 3 months after I start to work with this top individual, it's the same process. Early morning wake up, non-negotiable, intense workout, journaling, self-reflection, and hitting specific macros for your diet, carbs, fats, and proteins. Again, I'm still doing the same thing. Now, a couple of months later, it's now September of this past year. I started leveling up like crazy. It comes in a ripple. 10K plus a month from my business. I took 2 massive trips, like did our program in person to a group of other multimillionaires. It was like 20 other multimillionaires and entrepreneurs down on a tennis court in Florida. Met so many dope people. I got a new whip. It's in the driveway, like sick Acura ILX, pretty much brand new because of the person that I'm becoming. It's
very rewarding.
It's like finally all that work, all that belief, it was on repeat every single day. My affirmations going, my meditations twice a day, me being present in that moment and just feeling it. I can see my vision and it's expanding. I would go before the gym in the morning on my vision board on my phone. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the character that I am. I'm like, I'm the dude that just lights up rooms. My energy is just so contagious. It's just on a different level. All the pictures in it, my vision overall, what I see for myself, aligning with the habits, thoughts, actions, and energy. Once again, breaking all that down, there is no question if I do everything to a T, it will work. Possible way that it won't work. And then it did. I was like, I went from broke $3,000 to my name. I wasn't really making any money for months and months throughout the whole time. And then in September of this past year, like 10K plus in my own business that I never hit until then. Only a couple sales, and then boom, that hit. Had more coming in on top of that afterwards. Took those 2 massive trips. I'm getting inked up. Like, everything's just starting to really just compound and compound.
You're celebrating successes now.
It's like all that work is being paid off. Now it's like, okay, Nick, here's the test. Are you going to get comfortable? Are you going to go back to the porn? Those thoughts cross your head. For me, don't you remember when you were super depressed and suicidal? There's thoughts like that. Don't you want to go back to that state? Who the fuck is this right now in my ear? And I'm like, that's just me being in a low frequency. Man, just like hit the floor. So I've been so exposed. Now I know if I go and do those acts, I'm going to feel, once again, ashamed, a piece of shit with myself, like worthless, and I'm going to be cut off from the world. I'm going to be so disconnected, that depersonalization, all that stuff. Because once you've been exposed, you can't go unexposed. So I'm like, oh man. So that's like a new thing as you continue to go through the levels. It would have not been this whole journey so far if I didn't work on myself and I listened to my consciousness, because it was right. It was saying, yo, you got to work on yourself. A lot of this is your self-talk too, because that instills your belief in what you're actually trying to pursue. That was one of the main things. And that's where all that self-mastery started, through the self-honesty. When I looked so hard, I ran right into my problems. Everything just was right there. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then I just started carving at it every single day until I had a crack. So I started a little bit here and there. And then I had that 10K and I was like, God damn. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, that's a lot. That's awesome. You know, I made like a couple of grand for the month, if anything. And then I was like, man, I hit this. I got rid of.
What was it for you? Is it kind of reassurance that you have it in you? Is it the hard work for it? What brought you into this phase of your life?
Yeah, it was that. And then also the program. It was this specific personal development program that I got myself out of the trenches for my own self. And then I saw this actually goes much deeper. Yes, you get your mindset, fitness, nutrition right. You get yourself right. You start to master self. But then it starts to go into your finances. It starts to go into your relationships. I was out of shape, the way I felt about myself, my mindset. You only get a current reflection of who you are, the inside of you. I was a 3 or 4 in my eyes. That's going to be projected to others. And then on the external, to a certain extent, your looks, your demeanor, your thoughts, actions, and your energy. I took the time to work on those weaknesses and say, okay, I don't want to be that person for myself. At first, that's all it was. It was just to work on myself. And then I was like, whoa, now this is really starting to work with my finances. That was a massive breakthrough. Had my events. Then the car came and I was like, awesome, get to pay for this. Now, even as of like this past week, how I was saying, the answers are from within, are right in front of you too. So one of my clients is my uncle, and I've been helping him for a while. He's been having some trouble. He's trying to find himself. At first, he wasn't listening to me. Now he is. In short, from a psycho ex, and his dog basically bit some of his finger off, had to get it sewed, and he needed my help. So he's like 30 minutes from me. I start helping him out. I'm going full purpose mode at this point, in person. I usually just do this online. This is my uncle. I love him to death. So I start helping him out, getting his just life together. It was a shithole. And there's stuff everywhere, disgusting. The night I took him home from the hospital, there was blood on the wall from his finger, dirty stuff, nasty. Like, we got to get you right, bro. You are not right, you know? And I'm like, okay, you really need my help here. So I start helping him out. Boom. Like, he's killing it. Now he's dropping consistent weight, like 2-3 pounds a week. The business is going up. He runs the family business. And I needed something just for my finances as I continue to do what I'm doing, just for the amount of expenses too. God damn, I'm leveling up too goddamn quick. I'm like, I hit that 10K and oh man, now I got to pay all this stuff and it's got to catch up. What am I going to do? I tried applying to certain jobs. It just wasn't working. They literally said, I'm too good for the position. If it was a personal training position or anything of that sort, because their roster was filled with like threes and fours, and then you see this young stud come into the interview so prepared, and they were like, "You're gonna steal all our clients," basically. And I was like, "Okay, this is not the place to be," because I already had something going. We have a family business; it's a tile business. I have a lot of the social media experience, and my uncle and I were thinking, because I've been seeing him a lot more in person, and we were like, "Why don't we just make?" It's called Elite Tile. It's the top store here on Long Island for tile, and I was like, your social media is ass, bro. Why don't I come in and help you with that? It was right in front of me this whole time because for months I was, what am I going to do? It was slow with sales and stuff. I was starting to freak out. I just got the car. So I was like, yes, I got these level ups. Then I was back into it.
Tell me, is it the method you're using and all the work you've done on yourself that give you this open mind to improve and explore more things to get better?
Yeah, I was like, damn, my mindset is just so sharp compared to the job I was working in 2019, 2020. It's not as sharp as it is now. The way that I see things, and with my uncle being so open and on my program too, I'm like, dude, this is ass. We got to change this. We got to make this better. Like, he's really open to it too. So I'm like, everything will happen in perfect timing when you're fully aligned. I wasn't supposed to get a personal training job for like 15 an hour. I'm making way more at our family store, plus my other stuff on top of this. And I was dead broke on this date, like 3,000 to my name. I went from 10K the first year to 30K the second year. Now I'm on track to making 50 to 60K this coming year for 2024. It's all the program. It's that non-negotiable process. It's that checklist. It's what my top mentor has shown me. It's something you can apply to so many different areas of the specific path that you're on. My path is going to be different compared to everybody that's listening. But how do you apply it to make sure that this is what's happening with me right now? I need to work on this that's happening in my life. And that's something my uncle is going through. I got to see that in real time. That was another answer right in front of me with what I was doing. I'm still learning as a coach as I keep doing this with my clients and seeing it with my uncle. I work a lot closer now. And I'm like, oh man, this is dope. Like, to witness and experience in real time and to help him get out of this situation. So I'm still telling the story. I come back 6 months on here and it's like, yeah, we tripled the business because there is no cap at that tile business we run. But it's not like corporate. This was built from my grandfather. So entrepreneurship runs in our family, especially on my mom's side and on my dad's side too.
Where are you going from here? Do you have free time? How do you spend your personal time when you're not working?
Personal time, I like to make music. That's something I've been tapping into a lot. It's a specific style. It's like rapping, but I'm also screaming. And there's a certain technique. So I'm not just like blowing out my vocal cords, basically. But what I'm saying on the track is what I'm saying on this podcast, basically. Telling about my story, talking about wisdom, talking about purpose.
Linkin Park style?
If you're familiar with Linkin Park, you know how he screams on the track? That's the style that I'm going. But I'm also rapping, so I'm doing it very fast. I could be screaming and rapping at the same time. That's what I'm doing. And it's not like I'm talking about like I'm depressed and all that stuff on the track. No, no, no. I'm talking about purpose and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Inspirational stuff. I'm talking about what has worked for me and the man that I always needed. So it's another form of expression, especially on my creative side. I have my business. I feel like that's more my logical side of how I run things for Nick Drivas internally. But then when it comes to the music, that's the amount of pureness and energy I really do have. And that's my emotional side or my creative side.
Nick, where do people start? What should they pay attention to? And what behaviors are like a red flag? Because they have to see it themselves. Can you give me 3 top behaviors you encounter and you see people are stuck in? What is your advice? Give me the drill. Let's go.
Get around people that have a strong mindset, get around people that are working on themselves, and also just not people that actually have depersonalization or derealization to connect with them. That's not good, because then you're identifying that you have depersonalization and derealization, which is not good. Somebody who's an alcoholic, like, why are you saying, hi, I'm Nick and I identify as an alcoholic? Now you're instilling that belief in self that you're an alcoholic. That's not what you want to do. You want to say that you're actually not an alcoholic. You don't need that to get a quick high or to escape from your problems. If anything, you should change or shift your identity and say, I just operate so different compared to everybody else. I don't need the drink because I operate from purpose. I go and work on myself when I am tempted to have a drink. Yes, that was me in the past, but that is not me at this current moment. Okay, 1% better each and every moment of the day. How is it benefiting me? Who am I being in these specific moments? That's another thing. Aligning with your 10.0 self or your best version of yourself. If you are feeling any sort of like trying to escape from your current reality, you got to just identify, run into your problems, run into why you are feeling the way that you feel. Why are you going to that specific vice? Why are you feeling the regret, ashamed, embarrassed? Why are you, the list goes on and on. Identify the specific one or ones, like narrow it down, get it so simplified. Okay, it's these things. Now you identify with that new persona. Like I do it with my guys where I make a custom blueprint. Here's what you have problems with. We're going to make you your 10.0 self or your best version of yourself. And you're going to align with this character compared to your 1.0 self, which is doing all these habits. So now you're just going to construct a different individual, identify all the things that you have problems with, and turn them into solutions. Because if you're just constantly avoiding and escaping by using those vices, you're never going to figure out the problems that you have in your specific life. That was me for so long. You thought at one point that was your wake-up call when you were with your chick and whatnot. No, I had to keep going to finally get hit with so much pain. I took the time to finally say, okay, I need to do this, this, and this to make sure this doesn't happen. I was like, damn, I feel so embarrassed here. I feel so ashamed here when I do this. This is what I'm not going to do today. You take it just moment by moment. That's just life too. You know, is it benefiting you or is it not? And if it's not, change it. If you're feeling a sense of hopelessness with what you're trying to pursue, whatever your career is, your profession, if it's just your personal life, if it's anything, you know, if you're getting that notification, that is not something to ignore. Or if it's something with your career and you're just like, this is not my purpose, I don't think I should be doing this, that's a problem. You should be 100% satisfied and aligned with the character that you're building. So it kind of goes into that 10.0 self here too, but it's something not to ignore. It's something to say, okay, I need to go and find my purpose. Now, how do you do that? The who, and then align with the habits. A really good way to find it is working on self, specifically your fitness every single day, getting in that high frequency flow state, develop those strong habits as well every single day, not missing, gaining that confidence. Then it's going to gear you to a whole different life. You'd be like, oh, goddamn, I don't want to be in the corporate world anymore. I want to pursue real estate or whatever it is. Oh, I want to be a coach, or it doesn't matter. If it's something that's really bothering you, it's something that you shouldn't ignore. Take the time to really say, what do I want in this life? I took the time and said, what do I want? I looked at everything so far in my life and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, my stuff still, I'm like, to a certain extent, like how I was explaining with the music, that's another part of me. You know, what is dope to you? If it is that corporate career, go for it. If it's not, then that's something you need to change to actually get there. Hiring a coach is the best thing that helped me, is to have a coach in your corner, to have that accountability, because people be like, yeah, I can do it myself. Like, I'll be fine. And then I'm like, no. Like, you don't have everything. You're going to be missing golden nuggets that a coach could give you. No, don't go and try to get the chick first instead of trying to work on yourself. Don't try and do that right now. And then try to switch careers. I have clients like that. Focus on you. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the blueprint as well, because you trying to do it all on your own. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs that accountability, that mentorship. And that's where a lot of that comes into play. And it's like, dude, if you're feeling any of those things, especially with a coach, that's where I found a friend. I finally found somebody that could connect and resonate with me, especially who I hang around now. They're not going anywhere. It's not if I tell them something, they're like, oh, sorry, Nick, I can't meet you. Stuff came up. No, no, no. My coaches, they're not like that. They're, yes, we're meeting at this time, this day, be there sharp. Even if I go 6 feet under, I will make it work. You know what I'm saying? It's to that extent.
Good commitment.
Yeah, really strong commitment with just being a man of your word, you know? So that's where especially the coaching aspect comes into play to have for somebody to be around off of especially just those three things to wrap it all up for you.
Tell me, what does it even mean to find your dope, or what is dope to someone? How can this play a role in our self-improvement? Can you help me with understanding it better?
It's something you have to do on the inside to say, this is it. You have to have that epiphany and be like, this is what's dope to me because I'm doing it my own way. You take inspiration from a lot of people, but then you put your own twist on it because you find what's dope to you. I may be messing this up, but it's like good artists copy great artists. What is dope to everybody listening? I will say it may get misconstrued if you're not perfectly aligned. You may think something's dope, but then in 6 months, you start to work on your habits and all that stuff. What you thought 6 months ago was dope is actually not so dope anymore because you're a whole different person. I'm like, okay, all these things, the list goes on and on. But like, if that was me, like on this date, what I thought would be dope is like watching porn still, you know, all day. Have a solid foundation. And that's something that a lot of people don't express, or they give it in brief. What is a solid foundation? This is what I needed my whole life because it's so strong. The community, that's what it is. Everybody on the same path that just want to level up and be the best version of themselves.
What Nick shares is truly eye-opening for every person. It's not about the porn, it's about the addiction and how it's affecting us in who we are and the people we surround ourselves with. The circumstances and reasons that led Nick to addiction are heartbreaking. Now, at 23 years old, Nick's passion to crash the vices and bad habits is contagious, and he is on a mission to help others crush their vices and raise above their bad habits to build a better and a solid future, socially and financially. I personally feel very refreshed to hear wisdom from the youngsters, and I hope you will listen to them too. Before I published this, I contacted Nick, and I asked him how he's doing, and is he still in this passionate and strong mood as I had him on the podcast. And he is. He's doing great. He's running his business from his Instagram account. You can connect with him. He will lift your spirit up. He has great insights for such a young age. I'm really curious to see where he will be in a few years. I'm sure I'm going to get back to him one day. You will find his details in the show notes. On my next episode, we will talk about setting boundaries with my guest who lack of boundaries had her open her house for a homeless who took advantage of her. And she also ruined her career by becoming the gossip queen at her work. Stay tuned and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends and family and ask them to subscribe. Leaving a rating and review on platforms like Apple Podcast can also help boost the podcast ranking. Your support through word of mouth is greatly appreciated. If you feel I'm encouraging you to tell your story, contact me on rula@thelifeaffairspodcast.com. You will see my email in the show notes. I'll see you next time.